Recently, I read a book about a prisoner who was wrongly charged with murder and sentenced to death. One of the most impressive parts of his story for me was how the power of the love of God, as taught to him by his mother, governed his life through almost 30 years on death row until he was finally proven innocent. His name was Ray Hinton, a black man who grew up in a poor family in the southern United States. His mother believed in God and taught her son to love and forgive. Remarkably, his mother and one friend visited him every week during his entire time in prison. Nevertheless, Ray spent the first 3 years in prison in angry silence with a hatred in his soul for being unjustly incarcerated. But one night, a person locked in the cell next to his was crying uncontrollably. This man's pleas, "Oh God, help me, God," touched Ray and opened his heart for the first time in a long while. This is what Ray said. The man started crying again, and I realized that I was crying too, and I wept silently for a man I didn't even know, who was most likely a killer, but who also wept in the dark all alone. I was on death row, not by my own choice, but I had made the choice to spend the last 3 years thinking about killing. Despair was a choice, hatred was a choice, anger was a choice. I still had choices, and that knowledge rocked me. I could choose to give up or to hang on. Hope was a choice. Faith was a choice. And more than anything else, love was a choice. Compassion was a choice. So then, for the first time in 3 years, Ray called out in the darkness, "Hey, are you all right over there? Whatever it is, it's going to be okay." Finally, the man sobbed, "I just got word that my mom died." Ray then said, "I can't describe exactly what it is to have your heart break open, but in that moment, my heart broke wide open. And I wasn't a convicted killer on death row. I was Ray Hinton, my mama's son." He said to the man, "I'm sorry, I really am." And then another voice from the dark expressed his sympathy, and then another and another. Ray then asked the man to tell them about his mom. And so all of these inmates listened for over 2 hours as the bereaved convict told story after story about his wonderful mother, who was, as he said, tough but full of love. Finally, Ray describes this pivotal personal change in himself. "I wasn't expecting to have my heart break that night. I wasn't expecting to end 3 years of silence. It was a revelation to realize that I wasn't the only man on death row. I was born with the same gift from God we are all born with, the impulse to reach out and lessen the suffering of another human being. It was a gift, and we each had a choice whether to use this gift or not." Ray's heart had been newly opened by the gift of charity, the gift that never fails. Ray continued over the next 27 years sharing the love of God with his neighbor prisoners. He experienced Paul's words that nothing, tribulation or distress or persecution, can separate us from the love of God. Ray Hinton changed lives through the power of his love, softening hearts in some of the most hardened criminals and sorrowful human beings.